Straight to embattled New York Governor Andrew Cuomo delivering remarks right now. First time we've heard from him since the allegations were made of sexual harassment.
The Attorney General did a report on complaints made against me by certain women for my conduct. The report said I sexually harassed 11 women. That was the headline people heard and saw and reacted to. The reaction was outrage. It should have been. However, it was also false. My lawyers, as you just heard from Rita Glavin, have reviewed the report over the past several days and have already raised serious issues and flaws that should concern all New Yorkers. Because when there is a bias or a lack of fairness in the justice system, it is a concern for everyone, not just those immediately affected. The most serious allegations made against me had no credible factual basis in the report. And there is a difference between alleged improper conduct and concluding sexual harassment. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not to say that there are not 11 women who I truly offended. There are. And for that, I deeply, deeply apologize. I thought a hug and putting my arm around a staff person while taking a picture was friendly, but she found it to be too forward. I kissed a woman on the cheek at a wedding, and I thought I was being nice, but she felt that it was too aggressive. I have slipped and called people honey, sweetheart, and darling. I meant it to be endearing, but women found it dated and offensive. I said on national TV to a doctor wearing PPE and giving me a COVID nasal swab, "You make that gown look good." I was joking. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't have said it on national TV. But she found it disrespectful. I take full responsibility for my actions. I have been too familiar with people. My sense of humor can be insensitive and off-putting. I do hug and kiss people casually, women and men. I have done it all my life. It's who I've been since I can remember. In my mind, I've never crossed the line. I take full responsibility for my actions. I have been too familiar with people. My sense of humor can be insensitive and off-putting. I do hug and kiss people casually, women and men. I have done it all my life. It's who I've been since I can remember. In my mind, I've never crossed the line with anyone. But I didn't realize the extent to which the line has been redrawn. There are generational and cultural shifts that I just didn't fully appreciate. And I should have. No excuses. The report did bring to light a matter that I was not aware of and that I would like to address. A female trooper relayed a concern that she found disturbing, and so do I. Please let me provide some context. The governor's trooper detail had about 65 troopers on it. But of the 65, only 6 women and 9 black troopers. I'm very proud of the diversity of my administration. It's more diverse than any administration in history. And I'm very proud of the fact that I have more women in senior positions than any governor before me. The lack of diversity on the state police detail was an ongoing disappointment for me. In many ways, the governor's detail is the face of state government that people see. When I attend an event, people see the detail that's with me. I was continuously trying to recruit more to diversify. On one occasion, I met two female troopers who were on duty at an event. Both seemed competent and impressive, and I asked the state police to see if they were interested in joining. I often meet people, men and women, and if they show promise, I refer them to be interviewed. The state police handled the interviewing and the hiring, and one of the two troopers eventually joined the detail. I got to know her over time, and she's a great professional. And I would sometimes banter with her when we were in the car. We spent a lot of time driving around the state. This female trooper was getting married, and I made some jokes about the negative consequences of married life. I meant it to be humorous. She was offended, and she was right. The trooper also said that in an elevator I touched her back, and when I was walking past her in a doorway, I touched her stomach. Now, I don't recall doing it, but if she said I did it, I believe her. At public events, troopers will often hold doors open or guard the doorways. When I walk past them, I often will give them a grip of the arm, a pat on the face, a touch on the stomach, a slap on the back. It's my way of saying, I see you, I appreciate you, and I thank you. I'm not comfortable just walking past and ignoring them. Of course, usually they are male troopers. In this case, I don't remember doing it at all. I didn't do it consciously with the female trooper. I did not mean any sexual connotation. I did not mean any intimacy by it. I just wasn't thinking. It was totally thoughtless in the literal sense of the word, but it was also insensitive. It was embarrassing to her, and it was disrespectful. It was a mistake, plain and simple. I have no other words to explain it. I want to personally apologize to her and her family. I have the greatest respect for her and for the New York State Police. Now, obviously, in a highly political matter like this, there are many agendas and there are many motivations at play. If anyone thought otherwise, they would be naive, and New Yorkers are not naive. But I want to thank the women who came forward with sincere complaints. It's not easy to step forward, but you did an important service. And you taught me, and you taught others an important lesson. Personal boundaries must be expanded and must be protected. I accept full responsibility. Part of being New York tough is being New York smart. New York smart tells us that this situation and moment are not about the facts. It's not about the truth. It's not about thoughtful analysis. It's not about how do we make the system better. This is about politics. And our political system today is too often driven by the extremes. Rashness has replaced reasonableness. Loudness has replaced soundness. Twitter has become the public square for policy debate. There is an intelligent discussion to be had on gender-based actions, on generational and cultural behavioral differences, on setting higher standards, and finding reasonable resolutions. But the political environment is too hot, and it is too reactionary for that now. And it is unfortunate. Now, you know me. I'm a New Yorker, born and bred. I am a fighter. And my instinct is to fight through this controversy because I truly believe it is politically motivated. I believe it is unfair and it is untruthful. And I believe it demonizes behavior that is unsustainable for society. If I could communicate the facts through the frenzy, New Yorkers would understand. I believe that. But when I took my oath as governor, then it changed. I became a fighter, but I became a fighter for you. And it is your best interest that I must serve. This situation, by its current trajectory, will generate months of political and legal controversy. That is what is going to happen. That is how the political wind is blowing. It will consume government. It will cost taxpayers millions of dollars. It will brutalize people. The State Assembly yesterday outlined weeks of process that will then lead to months of litigation. Time and money that government should spend managing COVID, guarding against the Delta variant, reopening upstate, fighting gun violence, and saving New York City. All that time would be wasted. This is one of the most challenging times for government in a generation. Government really needs to function today. Government needs to perform. It is a matter of life and death, government operations. And wasting energy on distractions is the last thing that state government should be doing. And I cannot be the cause of that. New York tough means New York loving. And I love New York. And I love you. And everything I have ever done has been motivated by that love. And I would never want to be unhelpful in any way. And I think that given the circumstances, the best way I can help now is if I step aside and let government get back to governing. And therefore, that's what I'll do, because I work for you. And doing the right thing is doing the right thing for you. Because as we say, it's not about me, it's about we. Kathy Hochul, my lieutenant governor, is smart and competent. This transition must be seamless. We have a lot going on. I'm very worried about the Delta variant, and so should you be. But she can come up to speed quickly, and my resignation will be effective in 14 days. To my team, Melissa DeRosa, Robert Mejica, Beth Garvey, Stephanie Benton, Dana Caratanudo, Kelly Cummings, Rich Azzapardi, Howard Zucker, Rick Cotton, Jano Lieber, Jack Davies, and the hundreds of dedicated administration officials. I want to say this: thank you, and be proud. We made New York State the progressive capital of the nation. No other state government accomplished more to help people. And that is what it's all about. Just think about what we did. We passed marriage equality, creating a new civil right, legalized love for the LGBTQ community, and we generated a force for change that swept the nation. We passed the SAFE Act years ago, the smartest gun safety law in the United States of America, and it banned the madness of assault weapons. We've saved countless lives with that law. $15 minimum wage, the highest minimum wage in the nation, lifting millions of families' standard of living, putting more food on the table and clothes on their backs. And we led the nation in economic justice with that reform. We have managed every emergency Mother Nature could throw at us. Fires, floods, hurricanes, superstorms, and pandemics. We balanced the state budget, and we got it done on time, more than any other administration, because government should work and perform. Free college tuition for struggling families. Nobody in this state will be denied their college dream because of their income. We have built new airports, rail, transit, roads all across this state faster and better than ever before. And more than any state in the nation, the most effective green economy program in the nation. We did more for Black and Latino families than any other administration. We did more for working families. We did more for our union brothers and sisters. We did more to battle racism and anti-Semitism. Today, so much of the politics is just noise, just static.
Listening there to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo with a big announcement that he is resigning after a state attorney general report released accused him of sexually harassing 11 women. Cuomo denies the allegations, but says right now the best thing he can do for New York is step aside and let government continue to govern. Let's go to senior investigative reporter Aaron Katursky for more on this. Aaron, what do we know about what went into this decision and what the governor's movements have been since that report came out? Because this is the first time we're hearing from him live.
It's just a week after the New York Attorney General report, Diane, said that he had sexually harassed 11 women. He prepared a videotaped response that very day, but we hadn't seen him for the last week as he remained holed up in the executive mansion. But earlier this morning, the governor flew from Albany here to New York City so that he could make this announcement. He had come under intense pressure in recent days. Even steadfast Cuomo loyalists had urged him to resign, saying that his impeachment was going to be inevitable. And we heard the Assembly Judiciary Committee outline a whole process that could lead to the governor's impeachment as soon as next month. Governor Cuomo said his instinct is to fight because he said he believes the accusations against him are politically motivated, and he says he has not been given a fair chance to respond. And we heard his attorney say that they can't possibly prepare a response by the Friday deadline that the Assembly gave him. And so he says now, rather than become a distraction and have government become a distraction, because, as Cuomo put it, he loves the people of this state, he said the best thing he can do now is step aside, and that resignation will take effect in 14 days.
And Ariel Reshef is following this for us in Albany as well. Ariel, the governor wasn't just facing these sexual harassment allegations, but also other allegations related to the pandemic, the management of nursing homes, the management of data in nursing homes, resources used for his book. And all of this was being investigated there in Albany. How does this progress now? Is that investigation now over?
Well, essentially, the investigation by the Assembly would be null and void. That's what the Judiciary Committee chairman said yesterday. If the governor were to resign, then it would render their proceedings essentially, as I said, null and void. But we have to remember that this is a governor that's also facing a possible criminal charge here in Albany stemming from his executive assistant's complaint against him that he allegedly groped her, something he firmly denied. I just was struck in his comments that there was this air of defiance mixed with a bit of contrition. You heard him adamantly deny any of those allegations of sexual misconduct, of harassment, but in the same breath apologize to his accusers, saying that he understands he had hurt them and had offended them. We also know that he touched on the fact that this is a polarized political environment and that he couldn't have possibly gotten a fair process here, something that has been echoed over the course of the last week by his attorneys. So this is certainly a bit of a whiplash moment, a bit of a bombshell announcement from Governor Cuomo that he will step aside. And as Aaron mentioned, that will be effective in 14 days from now. Diane.
And Aaron, we also heard from Cuomo's attorney before he got up and spoke, and she was taking aim at the report, saying the report was biased, that they omitted evidence that could have made him look better in that report, that the investigators themselves were biased, and that the victims who came forward, or alleged victims who came forward, may have misinterpreted things. What happens now? Because what we heard from his attorney sounds like they are gearing up for a legal battle here.
Defense Attorney Rita Glavin was the preamble to Governor Cuomo's resignation, and it was almost as if he wanted her to set up that he was somehow forced out because of the circumstances, because the report is political, because the process was unfair, because the women misinterpreted what he considered to be normal behavior. But the governor also did acknowledge that he made women feel uncomfortable, and he addressed for the first time the allegation involving a state trooper on his personal security detail. And though he denied or said he didn't remember touching her back or her stomach as alleged, he apologized to her and her family, saying that women should be believed, and he said it was a mistake, plain and simple. But it's still possible that the Assembly Judiciary Committee moves forward with its impeachment investigation. And although the consequence, the Judiciary Chairman Charles Levine said, would be moot in terms of removal from office, there is still a mechanism the Assembly could undertake so that Andrew Cuomo can no longer hold elective office in this state.
And Aaron, in terms of what happens now in New York, with the governor stepping aside, he said the lieutenant governor will take over. How do things move forward from there?
Kathy Hochul is the lieutenant governor. She is from Western New York. She lives in Buffalo. She's been a long-time political hand. Her husband was the U.S. attorney in the Western District of New York in Buffalo and Rochester. So she is a known quantity in certain parts of the state. But the rest of the state is going to be able to get to know her now as she takes on the governor's duties. And for Kathy Hochul, we know she has spent the last several weeks consulting with aides and allies to see how she is going to be able to step in and manage the state. Remember, we all came to know Governor Cuomo through his pandemic briefings and his, what he said was straight talk about the facts. It was his personal delivery of all of the messages that consume New York politics right now. And so the lieutenant governor is going to have to figure out how to step in to those very large shoes in terms of public profile, or decide whether she wants others to take on a more prominent role.
Our senior investigative reporter, Aaron Katersky, and ABC's Ariel Reshef in Albany. Thank you both. Again, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has just resigned from office, effective in 14 days after a state attorney general report accused him of sexually harassing 11 women. The governor says he did not sexually harass those women. He's denying the allegations, but saying for the sake of the state, because he loves New York, he is stepping aside. And again, we'll have more on this on ABC News Live's continuing coverage, and again tonight on World News Tonight with David Muir.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Running it down on these niggas. Sex, drugs, money, and murder, my nigga. You know how we did it, my nigga. Still be painting them bitches, my nigga. Ripping that roll, fucking your bitches. Sex, drugs, money, and murder. 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 Niggas, they never go hurt you. Niggas, they never will hurt you. Sex, drugs, money, and murder. Sex, drugs, money, and murder. Got the traps right, understand how to get that. Ran down on them niggas with a flip back, knew in them.
Behind. Best believe that I'm not voting for her. She ain't getting my vote. Heck no. Cause that was dirty. That was dirty what they did. That was dirty what they did. That's dirty. Everybody know that was a political agenda. All them women came out there like that. That was a political. All them lies. All them lies. It was political to get that woman. Them women's rights group wanted that woman in there. Them women's rights group wanted that woman in there. They know he did a third term. They know people voted him in. If you such a horrible governor, you wouldn't get voted in 3 times. His father got voted in 3 times. His mother have no paperwork. Them women didn't have no proof. It was all hearsay. That's all it was, hearsay. Just like they did Bill Cosby. Just like they do all these men that they come when it's hearsay. They going off a word of mouth.
That's what she said. There was nothing substantiate. She said they just keep talking about these 11 women, but there's no paperwork for these 11 women.
No paperwork.
She
No
said-
rape, no rape
she
kit,
said
no nothing. No
was
harassment,
done,
no nothing.
Just numbers, and they're going about the numbers. They say you can't find nothing about what he did to these 11 women. She said it's just
Word of mouth.
a witch hunt. But there's nothing to prove it. There's no substantial evidence. She said he's not guilty because they don't have nothing to make
It was an injustice what they did. It was an injustice, and the thing is, the man, and like you said, he resigned on his own term. But I still say that wasn't the politicians that forced him out. That's the general public that voted the voters. That's a disservice to the voters. You know, we voters, we vote these politicians in. You have to give us a right to see if we all agree that he should be resigning. Everybody didn't agree to him to resign. It's over some word of mouth or some female bimbos that want to get money and a come up. That's what they did to Weiner.
They didn't get no money because they don't have no case.
Yeah, that's what they did to Anthony Weiner. That's what they did to Spitzer before Cuomo. The same thing they did to Cuomo is the same thing they did to Elliot Spitzer
And Anthony
Weiner.
He was apologizing to knock on the door, come time to go, knock on my door Thursday. Weiner been at my door 2 or 3 times. They put that poor man, had that man almost sick.
Man almost committed suicide.
Died on that man.
Even had the man had to spend jail time because they framed him. That's how dirty they is. They dirty. And the Democratic Party did not stand next to Weiner. They didn't stand next to Spitzer. They ain't standing next to Cuomo. That how you gonna go turn your back on the people? Them Republicans, Trump did what he did. They stood next to Trump. They stood next to Trump. They ain't say, "Oh, we gonna throw Trump to the wolves." They was standing next to anything he said. If it was crazy or what, they stood next. Say we gonna put our party before we put the doggone policy. They didn't put party first. They put doggone an agenda first. Just to put this lieutenant governor in there, just to say, "Oh, she's the first woman governor." That's a damn shame. That's terrible. It's your boy Bullets Gotti. I want to do a video real quick to talk about this whole Cuomo situation. So, this is how I feel, man, about this whole Cuomo, injustice. I did a video about this. If y'all didn't see my video that I did about this, I did a video not too long ago saying that his lieutenant governor is the Judas, and that she basically wanted his job. And now that you see everything that's going on right now, you see that she's after his job. So, let's fast forward now. This political witch hunt, this political injustice that was done to Cuomo is bullshit. And it's sad because this is a man, right, that basically did his job, spoke the truth. And now he's being thrown out of office because he spoke the truth. They wanted him out of office. It was a political agenda by the left, okay, by the progressives, and to throw him out of office. The sad part about it is that this is what I be talking about. This agenda that these women have is ridiculous. It was a agenda from the start. It's an agenda. And right now, as you can see, Cuomo resigned from office. Man did a hell of a good job. A lot of people don't like Cuomo. A lot of people have a problem with Cuomo. But in my opinion, the man did his job. He did what he was supposed to do in office. And the hate, the negative hate, and the agenda and the personal vendetta that these people have against Cuomo. It's ridiculous. If you just look at the whole shenanigans, you know what I'm saying? The girl said, "Oh, he did this to me. He did this to me. He did that to me. I was this, and it was, and I was. He was touching and harassing, and all this harassment, right? He did so much sexual harassment to these women, but they never filed nothing. They never, nothing. It's the same thing that they did before Cuomo. We had Elliot Spitzer. The same situation happened to Spitzer. They made him resign. Democratic Party did not stand next to Spitzer. They turned their back on him. Just like they turned their back on Cuomo, which is shameful, because it should be about party and not about, personal political agendas. And because we got to make the progressives happy, we're turning against Cuomo. What happened to Cuomo was some dirty, shady business. Dirty, shady business. And they throw this man out of office because they couldn't beat the man. And the man was voted in office 3 times. I voted for him. Each time. He was a great politician. And what they did to Cuomo was it was a fucking hit job. Excuse me my language. But it was a goddamn hit job. It was a hit job. They didn't want him to fulfill his father's legacy of being a 4-term governor and a future president. They didn't want him to do that. So they tarnished this man's political career. They tarnished him. They shitted on his reputation just to get his lieutenant governor in the job. It's reprehensible. It's despicable. It's shameful. It's horrible, and it's very harsh that the Democrat Party did this because they felt like if we get him out of office, he doesn't have to be the governor. Like I said, I voted for this man. He was a great governor to me. He was a great governor. Wasn't bad. But when he got, when he got that Kathy Hochul in his doggone corner to be his lieutenant governor, and they wanted her to be the mayor, the governor of the city. They wanted to be the governor of New York State. I knew this was BS. Listen, they did the same shit to Spitzer. Like I told you, Spitzer went through the same bullshit that Cuomo's going through. And when it's time for that election in 2022 and 2022, I will make sure the vote for whatever candidate that's running Republican, because I'm not putting this bitch in office. I'm sorry, I'm not putting her in office. It was some shady shit, and they was shady about this shit, and they did it to throw the man out of office because they couldn't beat the damn man. You couldn't beat the man. The man did a damn good job as governor. The people, it should have been up to the people of New York to say if he should go. Why did y'all have to make it seem like, oh, we're taking him out? No. You should have left this up to the New York City. This should have been to the people of New York State. If they wanted him to go out of office, this should not have been up to the fucking these doggone media critics and the fucking vigilante mob that say, oh, this man need to resign. It's horrible what they did to this man. It's horrible. This man has a family, but we all know this is a personal agenda. We all know why they doing this. We all know. But nobody's stupid. I've heard, I know why. Because I saw his speech. And they didn't like that he spoke against certain things. And they had a problem with that. And because Cuomo stood firm and he took it, he didn't give a damn. He went at his fellow Democrats. He gave them the smoke. Because the man stood on principle. He stood on principle. And they threw this man out of office. It's a racial agenda. It's very racial. You know, they don't like Catholics. They don't. And they didn't want him to be the governor no more. They had a problem with his father. They had a problem with Mario. And they got a problem with his son that became the governor just like his father. And they didn't want him to get a fourth term because he did the same. He had the same term. The people loved him. He got voted in not once, but 3 times. 3 times. That means that man did something right for the public, the general public, to vote him in 3 times. And we going off of what some fucking hoes and bimbos said? Man, y'all need to get a fucking life. Some hoes and bimbos. So we listening to hoes and bimbos. This is disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. It's a damn shame. It's a disgrace. And this is what this country has come to. Mob justice. Not real justice. Mob justice. Anybody could say anything and it's considered facts. This is hearsay. This is hearsay. It's ridiculous. So, you know, I want to say, you know, my prayers go out to Cuomo. And it's a damn shame, man. Just like I said in my video, man, it was an injustice. It's a disgrace. This is what America is coming to. We convict people in the media. We convict people with mob justice. And we just slander and lie. And then when we do that, we can have people reputation, career tarnish. Off of hearsay. Not facts. They pushed this man out of office. They pushed him out of office. The media. The lying ass media pushed the New York City media. Okay? All the New York State media pushed this man out of office. Off of lying ass hearsay information. No facts. No facts. So, it's what it is. You know, I'm your boy, Bullets Gotti. It's a disgrace, man. We got to do better, man.